Hello there everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joesephyr and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. More specifically, I've been playing the game for about 2 weeks and since it came out, I've got a lot of opinions on it, and I basically wanted to give you all the rundown of what my experience with the game is, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and ultimately whether I think that other people should continue to play it or start playing it if they haven't already, and whether I'm going to continue to play it or continue to make content on it. So if you want to know the rundown on how Ever Crisis is after 2 weeks, stick around and keep on watching. So I want to start by talking about the things in Ever Crisis that I actually do like. So I thought the story, for what it was actually quite cute. So you had Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. No, it's not a full-blown remake of Final Fantasy VII, and I think a lot of people kind of felt misled that that was what they were getting with this game, and I don't think that anyone who's ever played a gacha or a live service mobile title would know that it's just not that kind of a game. But the bits it does have in it are quite cute. The visuals in this game are stunning. There's no two ways about it. And the music in this game is some of the best versions of FF7 themes that I've ever heard. Like the prelude theme in the intro is genuinely fantastic. And like I said, the character representations are quite nice. I'd like to clue you up on where I'm at. I'm at 110,000 power, which 100,000 power is kind of a good benchmark as to like you're playing some end game stuff, like you're able to tackle summon missions, like the higher ends of events when they're released. And I have gone very, very hard on trying not to pull on anything. Like I did buy the boost pack, which was like a single week's worth of you get more resources when you grind, because that's a lot of what this game is. And I used some of those paid gems on like character memories, which you use to as one of the many different ways in which you make your characters stronger through the stat stream here. And I haven't like cleared everything out, and there's proof to say that level 50, which is currently the cap, is not the cap like over the course of time. That's kind of where my positivity ends with this game, to be honest. Like it's a nice idle game, but it is very much an idle game. And if you're going into this thinking you're going to be playing something super like intensive or anything like that, then I'm afraid you're probably going to be left very disappointed. Basically what I'm doing now is the extent of the entire gameplay loop in this game. So I'm just kind of using one of my potions to refill my stamina, of which they've been giving a lot out recently, but that is eventually going to dry up. And then just kind of pressing OK. Like all of the gameplay in this game relates to micromanagement and setting your party up for what is essentially an idle game, along the lines of Raid Shadow Legends and stuff like that, but with a very, very pretty Final Fantasy VII skin added on top of it. So to kind of like carry on with that train of thought, the things I don't like about Ever Crisis, what you just saw, me navigating the menus, in terms of moment-to-moment gameplay, is pretty much the entirety of the game. The game, I'm playing, like this is a live, it's not a live feed in terms of like streaming, but it's a live feed. I'm playing the game right now and I'm not touching the game. The auto in this game is mandatory. It's like because of the amount you need to grind to get your power level higher, you are not, or very, very few people, I won't say nobody, because I'm sure there will be people in the comments that say that they do. Very few people will be playing this game on manual settings 99% of the time. As a matter of fact, the only times I've ever felt the need to control my characters is to do that, which is to activate limit breaks. The only thing that the AI doesn't do when you're like actually playing the game. And I've done it a couple of times to kind of try and tackle missions that are higher than my power level would suggest. And yes, you can do a few missions higher than what you're capable of if you're playing it manually and you're taking control of Aerith's healing, etc. But beyond that, you're not really playing the game. And even if you are doing that, all you're doing is kind of skipping ahead to get to a point where you can auto that level frequently so that you're able to get the grinding. Which brings me to another point I really dislike about this game, and I'm sure it's about to show me that right now. The drop rates in this game are quite frankly pathetic. They are pathetic. So This is an example that you can see here of the kinds of items I need to increase the levels of my weapons, which is the one thing that I can do to kind of increase the levels of my characters. So you need 30 of these to level one weapon for its level cap by 10. That you then need another version of that, which I actually didn't even get any of the middle versions. I've got the level 1 and the level 3 ones here, but no level 2s. You need 30 more of that, and then you need 30 more of that to get to level 80, and then a separate material which you get from Crisis Dungeons, which is the hard, high-end content of the game, or one of the various high-end contents of the game, to then get to level 90, which is currently the level cap. You also have 5 weapons on 3 characters. And given quite how much of that you need to do, it's just an endless loop of just watching this game play itself. And I'm not saying that that's not for everybody. Like, there are a lot of people, myself included, that do quite enjoy that type of idle gameplay. Like, I think that sometimes there is something to be said for that. But would I rather be playing this and spending my time on this when I could be excited for FF7 Rebirth or playing pretty much any other RPG out there? I'm not so sure. So this brings me to kind of like my biggest issue with this game. And it's kind of my issue with the majority of mobile titles and gacha titles and that kind of thing, is that there's only one thing in this game that really matters. And it's this number here, the power number. And before, like, people who play this game regularly come to me in the comments and say, oh, you don't need to have that power to clear content. I'm like, no, you don't. But what are you clearing content for? Like, there's no gameplay to the game. Like, you're not playing the game in order to, like, feel the satisfaction of beating a boss, because you're not really playing anything at all. You're playing it to make that number go up. And that's kind of where I'm at with mobile gaming as a whole, is that it seems to me that mobile gaming just wants the numbers to go up, that people just get satisfaction from seeing their team get stronger and stronger and stronger. And like, I kind of get it to a certain extent, and I know that there are things about my party that I could make stronger, like, you know, my materia could be better, because that's a whole other grind in and of its own right. My point being is that the grind is the game. Like, that is what this game is. Like, if you're light enjoying grinding, whether it's grinding materials to upgrade your weapons, grinding experience to get your characters. I did make a video not too long ago about like a trick I found to kind of get experience for your characters without having to spend your stamina and stuff. But that takes a long time because those 0 XP missions don't give you a lot, understandably. Are you grinding the materia for trying to find the best one? Are you grinding chocobos to try and make them bring back better materials to make that grind quicker? You're kind of grinding for grinding's sake in this game, and I think there's something to be said for that. I don't hate the game, not at all, but I think that it's a problem that 90% of gamers who expected Ever Crisis to be a like reimagining of Final Fantasy VII, they'll probably play this game and I'm like, so when do I get to start actually playing it? So at this point, I guess the next thing for me to talk about would be, am I going to continue playing Ever Crisis? Am I going to continue making content on it? I'll play it. Like, you know, it's not a difficult game for me to play. It's not something that I have to spend a lot of brain power on. It does kind of scratch that itch of a game I can play regularly in terms of, you know, I log in, I get my crystals. If I want to, I can just go and grind something out and get a few extra points on my power gauge, or like that maybe I'll be able to clear a floor of the Cetra tower that I couldn't before. Whether I'll make content on it or not, I guess the reason I've made this video today is because, as I said, I was kind of waiting for a banner to hit, something to talk about, some new strategy that could come up, and nothing really happened. Except for like a couple new story dungeons came around, which are reimaginings and sort of like adjusted difficulties for story missions that we've already done. And I kind of thought, I'd like to talk about this game, but there isn't really a lot to talk about. So I guess like I'm at this point where I don't dislike the game. I don't love the game. I feel fairly apathetic towards it. And honestly, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. And so whether I'll continue to create content on it will depend entirely on whether the game does something to make me go, oh, yes, now I'm playing this game. So would I recommend that you play Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis if you're kind of umming and ahhing about it? You've just seen the trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That trailer was pretty fantastic, by the way. I'm not a reaction content kind of guy, but that video was fantastic. But would I recommend Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis to somebody who's on the fence about it? Not really. And I guess that's kind of why I'm like on the fence about like whether I'd want to continue playing it. The best way I can think to put it for myself is I am one bad luck streak away from uninstalling the game entirely, which is kind of a signifier to me that I don't really care about the game. I'm just kind of holding on to hoarding resources, and then because that's quite enjoyable to me. I used to do it with Dissidia Opera Omnia. I used to do it with War of the Visions and Brave Exvius and all of the other Final Fantasy like gacha games there are. I find joy in hoarding resources. It's like the ultimate version of elixir hoarding syndrome. But for other people, I don't know what I'm recommending, really. Like, there's not a lot to really talk about with this game. Is it cathartic in that you have something running in the background while you're playing something else? Sure. And if you want something for that, yeah, I would recommend Echo Crisis for that. It's pretty aggressive with its monetization. Like, even 2 weeks later, like, I'm still getting pop-ups on my screen saying, 12 hours only, buy this pack, and I'm like, I don't want to. And I'm strong-willed enough that I can look at it and go, no, I don't want this. But I've already spent once on it, and I kind of wished I hadn't, because it didn't really change anything for myself. So would I recommend it to other people? No. So that's gonna be all for today's video, more or less, but do let me know in the comments below if there are specific questions you have about Ever Crisis, because if I feel like I'm making content that's actually helpful to my audience, then I'll absolutely make it. Let me know what kinds of things you would like to know about it, because I mean, I'm this far into it now. I don't mind playing it for a bit longer and seeing how I feel about it, but do I feel passionately about it? Absolutely not. But don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notification any future videos I might be making. I thought I could dive really heavily into Ever Crisis and it be like the main source of my content again, but I currently don't feel that way about it, so I'm probably gonna go back into like filming videos for Final Fantasy as a whole, and because that's what I truly feel passionately about, and I'm looking forward to kind of going back to that stage, especially with 7 Rebirth on the horizon. So if that's something that interests you, definitely click on the subscribe button. Do come and find me on Twitch as well, where you can find me streaming all sorts of stuff. Been really loving Lies of P lately, if you want to come and watch me playing that. And of course, I do give a shout out to all of my patrons over on Patreon every time I release a video, and you can join all of these lovely people on the side of the screen here as being a credits roll, and I make title cards for all of my patrons and all sorts of other benefits that you can get by joining in on that as well. So thank you very much to all of you guys who have done that for me in the past as well. I really do appreciate it. But that's going to be all for today's video. I would love to hear your thoughts on Ever Crisis. Are you still playing it? Are you really enjoying it? If you're loving it, tell me what it is in the comments that you're loving about it. If you're not into it and you've kind of quit and you've fallen off, or it was just never something that appealed to you in the first place, let me know about that too. And I'd love to hear from you. So take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.